sports fan has an opinion. Well, these are ours. Welcome to Brock and Pep's Unsportsmanlike Convo.
Ready? Break!
And here are your hosts, Brock Fleming and Pep Cariotti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is March 22nd, 2022. It is springtime, and I'm your host, Brock Fleming, and with me, as usual, I did a little differently this time.
Okay, nice.
I saw you throwing it out there. Like, why am I by myself? What am I doing? It's none other than P-Dog Cariotti at Pep Talk 32 for his Twitter handle. Instagram too, I think.
It's Instagram. I don't know what my Twitter handle is. I think it's just at Pep Talk on Twitter. I don't tweet a lot.
Oh, it's still a fairly hot platform too, so we kind of have to get in there once in a while. But anyway, all right, we're gonna basically get into it. It is springtime. The Jays are out. The sun is shining. I do want to take a quick second to shout out birthday this week to Carol Faucon.
Hey, what?
Yes,
nice.
Yeah, just Faucon now. But it's her birthday coming up on Friday. She is in Mexico. My dad is in Mexico. They are enjoying the sunshine.
Nice.
I really don't expect him to. I mean, you're in Mexico. Just enjoy the weather.
Right.
We're heading down in a week, so we're pretty pumped and starting to get our paperwork ready to go.
That's exciting. Hey, I want to shout out the Carleton Ravens playing tomorrow night, the OUA Finals. I'll be there. They're taking on the Queens
Golden
Gales of Queens. So the winner moves on to the finals, which is not being hosted in Ottawa this year. So that's exciting. I'll be checking that out. We got Alain Louis and Lloyd Pandy, and I got a couple of guys leftovers from the 2020 championship team. I don't think they get enough Canadian publicity for what they've done over the last 20 years. They're like the UCLA Bruins of Canadian basketball, and it's crazy. It's a dynasty, and next to the CEBL, it's the highest level of basketball, and they're playing it at the highest level. And other than maybe like a handful of teams, no one's really even come close to beating them. So it's remarkable stuff.
Is that not also part of the problem? Where you think of women's hockey Olympics, and you watch the preliminary rounds. All we're doing is waiting for Canada to play the U.S. Right? That's it. There's no real other challengers. So it doesn't make it super exciting. Now, if you were to remove Canada or the U.S. from that tournament, would there still be this big Canada's in the finals again? Like, is Carleton just that good that it's almost lost its luster because they win all the time? It's expected that they win and nobody can beat.
Short answer, no. When I say that no one's come close, I don't mean the games have been close. Like the last time they played in the finals against Dal, the one I went to go see at the Civic Center before the pandemic, it was a close game. And they had a couple of close games leading up to that game. So maybe I used the wrong choice of words, but it's entertaining basketball. It seems to be a different team coming up. Ryerson had a good team for a couple of years. I think they took a step back this year, but it's entertaining, and it's all the more remarkable that Carleton keeps doing it every year. But it's a program thing. And look at the talent that comes out of Canada now playing in the NBA. Actually, even in the March Madness,
yeah.
There's 30 Canadians playing in March Madness. It's unheard of. So they're drawing a lot of talent from Canada. And and not that talent's not coming from Carleton. So Carleton's beaten some pretty amazing teams across the country. So it's exciting stuff. Again, these kids are choosing to go play overseas rather than in the States rather than play Canadian basketball. But anyway, it's great stuff. Carleton again is playing for the OUA East title tomorrow night at 8:00 at the Ravens Nest. I got my ticket. I don't know if there's a ton of tickets left, but if you're a basketball fan, come on down. And I think my mom's watching, by the way, today. It's very possible my mom's watching. Yeah. I think my sister set her up with some internet there temporarily tonight. And
just for the show?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think so.
Well,
yeah.
If she's watching, then I'm going to have to bring the person she actually wants to see on screen if he's done walking his dog. I'd also like to apologize real quick to the Cap City Beats radio listeners. I forgot to press the go button in that app, so you guys are kind of coming in a bit late. But we're going to bring him in real quick here. So just so Marie gets an idea and gets the face that she wants. That's not me. There we go.
Well, Mom, if you're watching, there's Curtis. There's your
Marie.
Yeah, your boy crush.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're my girl crush.
she just talks. She talks about you all the time. It's crazy, actually. It's not even like I can go 2 weeks without seeing her. Then the first thing she'll say when I actually see her is, "Oh, how's Curtis?"
That's
said
good. We're all going for breakfast there when we get back from Mexico, so I can't
Yeah.
wait for that.
He's fine, Mom. I'm okay. How you doing?
We did the group chat or the group video thing with when she got back from the hospital. I picked up first, and the squint and then the disappointment in her eyes.
She saw Fleming on the screen. She just didn't see the right.
I'm like, if you had the phone right now, Marie, you'd hang up on me. I get it. I'm like, should I back away? And just I'm not going to buy time until Curtis comes in. Anyway,
She was very flattered by all that, by the way. Anyways, all good.
Have a good show, boys.
Thanks. Amazing. Yeah,
All
so
right.
shout out to Carlton. I had one other thing I wanted to mention. Carlton, I think that's it. No, that might be it.
This episode is brought to you by Green Bubbly. That's all I drank. Went to the cottage. So shout out to Scott and the Cotton family, and Dan Duran and his family, and Mike Dean and his family. We all went up to a cottage and spent a couple nights together. And that's all I drank. I had brought up a case of bubbly, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just drink this all night. And it was
Nice.
delicious. It was a lot of fun, actually, to get the families together. The kids got a chance to play together. Savina was all over Mike's newborn kid. So she's going to be a babysitter soon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Working her over. Oh, yes. I now remember. Shout out to St. Peter's.
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's, who they beat number 2 Kentucky, and then they beat number 3 Murray State, who was the highest scoring team in the nation this year. They beat him pretty handily as well. They are the only team from New Jersey since 2000 to make it to the Sweet 16, and that in 2000 it was Seton Hall, and the Seton Hall point guard is St. Peter's head coach. So the whole thing ties in real nice. Shaheen Holloway is the head coach. He was the point guard for Seton Hall back in 2000, the last New Jersey-based team to make it to the Sweet 16. So wild stuff. They got Purdue next. It's going to be a tough game, but the madness is, again, we've talked about playoff formats and stuff. It really is. Charles Barkley said it best. It never disappoints. Like, there's always an upset, even if there's not. Even when the top seeds make it, it's always good basketball because it's the one-and-done style. And I think we know with them that many teams, a lot of these teams we don't get to see on TV. When do you see St. Peter's on television? Never. So I think it's just really cool. It's a really cool tournament.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I mean, I watched Colgate late on Friday night.
Damn
they
it.
came out hot, and we're beating Wisconsin for a good amount of time. Wisconsin just kind of came back. I found
Older team.
questionable plays on Colgate's part, and just rushing certain shots that I'd expect us to be smarter than that. But anyway,
Right.
they showed well. I was proud of them.
Yeah.
But Wisconsin is a pretty decent team. But yeah, when you guys start getting 64 teams, well, really 68, I guess, with a couple play-ins.
Yeah.
And look at what Notre Dame did for that play-in and winning a couple of games. You throw that in
Michigan.
teams, stuff's going to happen. Michigan
Out of nowhere.
I did see where what's the coach's name?
Juwan Howard.
Where he was consoling that as a Tennessee player.
Was it Tennessee? Yeah, there was a Tennessee player. I'm guessing it's a senior.
Probably. I
Yeah.
mean, he's very emotional. So
Mhm.
generally that means he doesn't have any more opportunities to do this. They probably went in, again, the favorite. So they wanted to at least get past a couple rounds and maybe make some noise. Didn't happen. Michigan played very well. But to see, again, it's nice to see those kind of things that transcend sports. You know what I mean? Like, even though you're on opposite ends, Howard's been there. He played that in those tournaments. He's been through crushing defeats, with phantom timeouts and all that kind of stuff. Like, you
Yeah.
go through it. So you empathize with the emotions and the amount of energy that players are putting into it. So anyway, this stuff like that is always fun to see.
And Howard's coming off a 5-game suspension where he swung and punched a coach, in the regular season. And really, at that point, they were 15-11. I didn't think they were going to make the tournament at all. So they that was Wisconsin, yeah. So the whole and the fact that they're still in it and playing good basketball. I mean, it's a fun. There's some fun teams left. So, and of course, this is Coach K's last tourney. So I kind of going for Duke. I like Coach K. He's a classy guy. So we'll see what happens. Anyway.
I wanted to bring up the female goalie who started for the Hull Olympics.
Gascon?
Yves Gascon.
Did she win? They win?
No, they ended up losing 5-4 in overtime. But from the highlights I saw and from everything that I've read, she played extremely well. There was one that was a bit questionable from the blue line that probably she would like to have had back, but otherwise she made some pretty timely saves and kept the team in it in order for them to get to overtime. And then, one slip by her she did everything she could. It was like the third shot, I think, off of rebounds that went in. So again, just the fact that she was playing it at that level, playing competitively, kept her team in it. Kudos to her. I know she's not a permanent on that lineup, so she really made the most of her opportunities.
Yep. Great stuff.
All right, so we're not going to get into the female transgender swimmer that won that race.
That's really wild though. Like, I mean, it's there. I don't know if it's controversial. I guess it's not something I'm comfortable even talking about. I don't really know where I feel about all that. Like, it's an amazing accomplishment. End of discussion. Like the fact anytime you can win, but there's a lot of debate as to what category they fall in, and it's tough.
Yeah, that's for another episode. I have my own take on it. I think, again, it's regardless, at least my take is regardless of, what society would think or whatever. It's more, I think of the lines of competition and what is fair in terms of that. But anyway, that's stuff we can, maybe have a separate episode on.
Sure.
But I know it's come up multiple times over the last little while with powerlifters, with swimmers, with, there's a basketball player too, who's, older, but, lighting it up in female basketball leagues. Anyway, yada, yada. It's an interesting topic. I know there's been a lot of back and forth. I'm seeing a lot. I'm bringing it up because there's a lot on my social media, news feeds that are talking about this kind of stuff. And, again, it's a polarizing topic, and I just don't know how you even, I don't know, like, what do you do? Like, what's the solution? I'm not sure at that. Anyway, let's get into real quick. The NHL trade deadline has come and gone. Neither of us are right into hockey at this point. So I don't know if you have anything you want to touch on. The only thing I'm going to touch on is that probably my favorite goalie of all time got traded from the Blackhawks to the Minnesota Wild. That's Marc-Andre Fleury. I love the kid. I love his attitude. I love everything he brings to the game. I love his style. And I know that the Leafs had an opportunity to get him, but they didn't want to give up any future assets. I don't know how much they were asking, but in Minnesota, it was a second-round pick, a conditional second-round pick that can be a first-round pick if Minnesota gets to the conference finals and Fleury wins 4 games within those playoffs, I think, or something. So anyway, they have it all structured out there, but he's going over to Minnesota, and again, I'll follow the Wild now because of him. But I know your Canadians have made a trade. Ben Chariot is gone.
What you call?
Is that not as Chariot? It's French.
Yeah, close. I think they've been calling him Chariot, but Chariot also works.
Chariot.
Ben Chariot, yeah. You know what? He was really good last year during their playoff run. Rugged guy.
It is Chariot.
It looks like Tampa and Florida have loaded up. But my winner yesterday or whenever was it yesterday, the deadline? Monday? Yes. Is Pittsburgh. They picked up the number one trade bait guy next to Claude Giroux. They picked up Ricard Raquel from the Anaheim Ducks. And Pittsburgh is it's probably one of the best front offices in all of hockey, with what they're able to do consistently with Crosby and Malkin, who are no spring chickens, by the way. I mean, Crosby, when was his rookie year? 2006, 2007? I mean,
listen to the audiobook. I should know that.
You know what I mean? He's been in the league for a long time, and the fact that they're still winning, still on top. I mean, I give credit to Ovi too out in Washington. It's a testament to the organizations and how they keep sort of surrounding their stars with players like Raquel, and that team's going to be tough to beat. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, but it's just sad to see how there's like one or two teams do all the loading up and everybody else just kind of stands pat. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Calgary does. I like how they're playing. Yeah, Montreal.
Claude Giroux going to be a big acquisition for them? I
think so. He's good up the middle. He's a veteran guy. He doesn't have a cup. He's eager to win. Florida is also eager to win a cup. I mean, how long has it been since they made any noise in the playoffs? So it's exciting for them, exciting for those Florida teams. Not so much exciting for us because, I mean, for me as a Montreal Canadiens fan, we're not sniffing the Stanley Cup. We're not sniffing the playoffs. If you're an Ottawa Senators fan, you're not sniffing the Stanley Cup. You're not sniffing the playoffs. So all we really have to watch is Toronto. And I like Giordano, but like I was telling you and your brother, he's 38 years old. Veteran guy on the defensive end. He played a lot of seasons in Calgary. They didn't do a whole lot. So, I mean, it's a good pickup, good quality guy. But what do you think about Matt Giordano or Mark Giordano?
Well, I think the Habs are sniffing cups. It's just not the Stanley Cup. But, it's whatever. He's, again, hasn't won anything in his career. Does he bring enough to it? Who knows?
Little sandpaper.
It's he's got a bit of grit. It's I don't know. No, it's not a trade that I would be excited for. Anyway,
I want to give
that trade is my overall feeling of the NHL trade deadline and whatever.
Truly,
it's kind of like, man, it happened, but
truly. And I want to give Kent Hughes, the GM of the Montreal Canadiens, an A+ for what he's doing on the fly. I mean, bringing in Marty St. Louis to coach, Vincent Lecavalier in the head office, these deals that he's making. I mean, they have like 10 second-round picks in the next couple of years. It's crazy what they've accumulated for some of these guys. And they did right by guys like Arturi Lehkonen by trading him to a team like Colorado. He's got a chance to win a cup. Ben Sherratt, trading him to Florida, good team. So they did right by these guys, but they accumulated so many assets. And on top of that, a couple of deals that they made prior to the deadline, picking up the Pitlick boys. I mean, those guys are grit, sandpaper guys. I like Montreal's little team, and they're playing really good hockey lately. So, I mean, what he's done, I feel like the organization finally has some stability. Like smart hockey guys in the front office, good head coach, and their on ice play, Brock, has been really good. So we'll see what happens.
I just saw your message in the private thing.
Oh,
the countdown. I can't even remember.
Oh yeah. Anyway, all that to say, to devote a whole day to it like TSN does. I mean, like the argument is, what else is on TV at from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on a Monday? In the middle of March. So, I mean, of course, they have all the time to devote to deadline. There's nothing else on TV at that time. So, all good.
You're watching Days of Our Lives.
Yeah. All right, let's talk a little Jays.
All right, I was going to say, you want to go Jays or you want to go?
Let's go talk a little Jays. Let's talk a little Jays.
If we had Mike, we would probably do some sort of. Do I even have an MLB?
You must have that.
I don't see it.
Yeah, the Blue Jays song, don't you?
Hold on a second.
One.
No, I don't have it. I don't have it. I got nothing.
Okay,
it's gone.
Well, okay. Let's talk about the Jays this off season here. Spring ball had just started, and I've watched all 4 games, and they're deep. They're deep in the farm. I mean, they're going to have to make some hard choices. But let's talk about the obvious: the Matt Chapman trade, which I thought personally, third base was their biggest need. I said, if they solidify third base, they can move Biggio back to sort of his natural second. You keep Vladdy at first, and all you're really looking for at this point then is a DH, and they can do that via Grichuk or whichever outfielder's not playing, they could throw him at DH. So I think solidifying third was like priority one this offseason, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what they did. And now you're seeing everything sort of fall into place in the infield. And they picked up Greg Bird, who was the Yankees' top prospect for a couple of years. He had a really good rookie season. Then he got hurt. Like, he got hurt a lot. And the last time he was on the field, I think he was in the AAA for the Rockies, and he had 27 homers. So, the Jays are taking a chance on him. He's a left-handed power bat. He's having a great spring so far, 4 games in, mind you, but he could hit his way onto the team and be that left-handed power bat that we've been looking for all offseason, They brought up Schwarber and Freddie Freeman. I didn't see how those guys fit.
Freeman was a tough one. It was like a wish list almost, and then
Would have
say,
been
what
nice.
are you going to put, give Vladdy a chance at third, who, again, looks to be even in better shape than he was last year. Do they go that route or, I don't know. Like I've always said, I kind of wanted to see Donaldson come back. I wanted to see him at third. I wanted to see him come back with the Jays and whatever. I like them. I thought they can get him for a decent price. Now, when he signed, they picked up Chapman. I mean, that's a good signing. What's even better is that they signed him for 2 for $25, which I thought was actually probably a steal for the
For
Jays.
a Gold Glover, yeah.
Now, I didn't look at it close enough. Maybe you can tell me, because they had him for the year. Is the 225 on top of this, or does that include this year?
I feel like I read that they it included this year. They just sort of renegotiated the contract for it to include this year. So it's a 2-year extension, but this year counts as the extension. I think is if I read it correctly. But for like I was telling the boys, even if he craps the bed at the plate, $12 million for a Gold Glove third baseman is a steal in today's MLB.
Did you watch today's game where he went out with the laceration? Well, you said you watched them all.
He got spiked. Yeah.
He got spiked, but I'm telling you, 2 plays before that, I think he scooped up some ball that was a real tough bounce and just made it look easy.
Routine.
Yeah.
This talk about, if we do get a first baseman, move Vladdy back to third. This is prior to Chapman. Why would Vladdy want to go back to third? He was a Gold Glover at first last year. He made some incredible plays playing first. He looked comfortable. I think he could, obviously he was able to focus on his hitting because he hit 48 home runs and he batted over 300. So, I mean, why would you move him anywhere? He looks so natural at first. You keep Vladdy right there. And I don't even think Vladdy is going out saying, no, put me back at third. I want to play third. Why would you want to play third when you're able to first base is a great place to play, is it not?
Oh, yeah. You're speaking to a career first baseman.
Yeah.
And he's got the personality for it too, which, a lot of people don't understand, but it's camera time, but it's also, you're talking with every other player in the league that you play against goes at some point to first base. Yep. So you're shooting the crap with these guys on and off. You're joking with them, whatever. Anyway, it's an engaging position. Rarely do you get the first, and you have some introvert, doesn't want to say anything, really kind of like a jerk on the field playing first base. Like, you have to have that. And it's you know what I mean? Like, it's also part of the game. It's totally. Like you're doing things to not take them off their game, but to, lighten the mood a bit, but also maybe that takes some focus away. Maybe it's this. Anyway, it is an integral part, and I think that Vladdy is the perfect fit for that. So I have been the one saying that, Vladdy can go back to third, provided he wanted to. If he wanted to do that, if he was asking for it, if he was disappointed that he got moved to first and he was working his tail off to lose weight to become a third baseman because he wanted to do that, then I think, yes, he's a guy that you make happy. You say, yeah, sure, we'll give you a shot there. Yeah, sure, well, whatever. But if he's not, and he accepts it and relishes that role at first base, which he's been so good at, I think that's his natural fit will be there.
And look at the comparisons when you talk about having a personality at first. The 3 guys, as you were talking, 3 guys came to my mind: Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera, and David Ortiz. Those guys, every time you see somebody at first, they're chatting, they're having a good time or whatever, they're commiserating. But when it's time for business, they're 3 of the best to ever do it. They all played first. Vladdy kind of is in the same family when it comes to that engaging personality playing at first. You make a good point. And how many many singles versus triples happen on a at a leadoff hitter? It's 100. It's 100 singles to 1 triple. So he's going to get a lot of camera time. It's you could tell he's engaging. You tell he likes being on the camera. So I'm a big fan of keeping him at first. So I think that one
part of the game too. So you have the pickoffs. You have the other stuff. Like you're guaranteed to get more action at first in one way or another. Maybe it's not the hot corner, but you're getting. I got to hold somebody. I got to communicate, whatever. So you're kind of in that game. You talked about characters. I will quickly circle saying another character who, doesn't show it as much in the field, but Rowdy Tellez was at first base, and he just officiated Jensen's wedding. I don't know if you saw that today on the broadcast of the game. So Jensen got married, and Rowdy Tellez was the officiant at his wedding.
Oh, I didn't see that. Very cool. Very cool. I like Rowdy. I hope he does well. I think he's still in Milwaukee. I hope he does well over there. I mean, we're not going to sit and analyze every single position tonight. I just thought we would touch out some, certainly Matt Chapman being a big acquisition, the main acquisition.
Oh, we're not? All right, then.
But no. But I did want to talk about what I perceive to be still the 2 main maybe 3 main gaffes still that they need to fill.
Careful.
Second.
Okay, continue.
I think second still is a problem. I'm not sold on Cavan Biggio, who sprained his elbow before they even played a game. So, if this guy is going to continue to be injury prone, I mean, sell him while it's high still, I think one of the outfield positions still, they just signed Teoscar for another year. He avoided arbitration, 1 year, $10 million, which I think is another steal.
10.6. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's but yeah.
So, outside of Springer, you've got Teoscar, who they're committed to, and then Grichuk and Gurriel. So if you're happy with those 4, fine. I'm still not sold on Gurriel and Grichuk. I mean, I feel like they can still get another star to replace those 2 combined. And then you can get some speed off the bench rather than having this platoon. And then catcher. I mean, do we like Jansen? I like Danny Jansen personally. Alejandro Kirk looks like he's swinging a bat a little bit better this spring. But, I mean, I think those to me are the 3 positions still. I mean, their pitching looks great. Their bullpen looks great. What do you think they need right now, if anything?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, I have my, starting lineup based on what they have right now. And
give it to me.
I have Jensen at catcher. I have Vladdy at first. I have Biggio penciled in at second, but there's a question mark next to him. Chapman at third, Bichette at shortstop. I have Gurriel, Springer, and Grichuk in the outfield. Hernandez has a wrist right now anyway, but, you talk about a DH position or something like that. Those between Gurriel and Hernandez. And like you said, Grichuk, a 3-way move can put whoever else isn't there, can put their bat in the lineup and say, you know what, they're going to be our DH.
Yeah.
Biggio really is the biggest question mark for me right now as to which Biggio is going to show up. Is it the early in his career? Or is it the guy we saw at the end of last year where he had a lot of time off, and when he started to come in, he was actually very effective and started to play really well.
Great hitter.
Does he build off of that? I mean, he was never a third baseman. His arm is suited for second. Can that be the missing piece? Because obviously, who do we lose? Loved him. Second.
Semien. Marcus Semien.
Like that was great. And the chemistry him and Bichette had and stuff was great. Obviously we just kind of shifted our issue from third to second. But I think second is probably an easier fill. Hey, is Ryan Goins still available? Let's bring him back. Anyway.
I think they're going to be able to duplicate the production from Semien through Chapman and Biggio. Which is great. Which is a great situation to have. Last year their third base was a major issue. Like, I mean, Espinal, and the year before they brought in Travis Shaw. That didn't work. So like I think they've solidified third. Biggio slides to his natural second. He's a great patient hitter. His on base percentage was through the roof. The one shortened year when they played the 60 games, he was great. So I think if he's healthy, he'll be great. The question is his health. So. I mean, by all accounts, he's healthy. He'll have an opportunity. I do really like Greg Bird, and I think that he will provide that left-handed power bat that they're missing. They're all righties. It's
They
it's
are
a
all righties.
it's all righties.
BBO is a lefty. That's the only, that's why you
Yeah.
almost need to have him in the lineup, given the roster that I just provided. But
For
they're
sure.
all righties.
I mean, they're going to make life hell for left-handed pitchers, but when you're facing righties all the time, they're going to pitch you in, pitch you hard, pitch you in. It's going to be tough. So we'll see what happens. I think I don't think they're done buying. They might be done right now, but I think a guy like Greg Bird can hit his way onto the team. He's a professional hitter. He was, again, a Yankee top prospect, had a great rookie year and just fizzled out due to injury. But kid's got pop. He's got a good eye at the plate. Left-handed hitter. He can DH. By the way, universal DH this year, right? All across the majors in L2.
Yeah, it's about time, really.
Yeah.
As much fun as, I'm glad that Ohtani got the MVP last year because, the guy did everything. You'd never get a chance to pitch and hit and stuff at the same time. Like, do you still DH for a guy like that? If you don't want to, you have universal DH, but you're like, well, I don't want to because the guy who's pitching is as good as our DH, so I don't want to.
True story.
Like, how does that work? Anyway.
Oh, it should be great. I'm excited.
Last year, I think is going to be, if it's a universal DH, we'll never see it again.
Fine with me. Fine with me. I mean, if the Expos come back and they end up somehow in the NL again, I don't need to see their pitchers hitting every third inning or whatever.
I'm talking specifically Ohtani. I don't want to see the rest of the pitchers, but like that level of efficiency as a pitcher, as a hitter, as an outfielder, like the guy was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and if he's going to produce as a pitcher and a DH or whatever position he plays when he's not pitching, you put him wherever he wants. If he's going to hit 50 home runs, you play him wherever. It doesn't matter. So that's awesome stuff. I'm excited. And the Jays, we didn't talk much about their pitching, but their staff, their rotation looks like this. Barrios, Kevin Gausman, who I really, really like. I mean, they might have the best pitching staff in the AL. Ryu's a third pitcher. It's amazing. Kikuchi, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. The guy they got for the lefty they got from Seattle. And then their fifth starter is Alek Manoah. So, I mean, that's pretty great. And Nate Pearson's, he might end up being an ace when it's all said and done. It might not be this year. I think they'll use him out of the pen this year and try to get a full, healthy year out of him. But again, he was their number one prospect ahead of all those guys for a couple of years. So I hope he gets a chance. I'm a huge fan of his. The guy throws gas. Guy throws heat. So, it's a great issue to have.
Yeah, if he's open to coming from the bullpen, that changes a guy's career pretty quick too, and can extend it, can whatever. So, I think maybe it's he did well coming out of the bullpen. I think a little less pressure than being the starter. As we talked about in the past, I think Alek Manoah coming in and having some success as a young up-and-coming pitcher, I think took a little bit of the focus off of Nate Pearson and the whole pressure of he's our savior.
Yep.
He's the next big thing. So I think that's all those things coming together. I think that Pearson is I think he's primed to have a really good season. And whether that ends up moving him into the starting role at some point, giving some depth or injuries that might come up to play, which is
always going to happen.
It's inevitable. And that's why when you talk about switching a couple of those outfielders for maybe one other star, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it other than having, a quality rotation of four outfielders that can also DH and say, we have that kind of depth there. If you trade 2 for 1, I don't know. Is that putting too many eggs in one basket?
Well, my thought process is more like if you look at Tampa, what they do with their DH and all the flexibility they have, I think it's because they have dynamic guys. They're not all the same guys. And it'd be nice to have like a speedster come off who can just sort of like a slap hitter who can get the ball in play. And they have, if you happen to catch some of these games in the next couple of weeks, they've got these young, fast guys who could just get their bat on the ball, and they're super quick. This kid Barrios yesterday was just like, I mean, it was incredible to see him. And then they've got Malik Smith, who they picked up last year. He's not a great hitter, but he's lightning quick. So I don't know. It'd be nice to have like that sort of dynamic guy they could bring off the bench if they need to steal a base or whatever. I'm not saying that Gurriel and Grichuk don't do that or can't do that, but they seem to be almost Grichuk and Hernandez more so than Gurriel. They seem to be almost the same guy. Like it's it's all or nothing hitting kind of thing. Like it's the ball's going out or they're striking out. So we'll see. I mean, they've all gotten better at the plate. I'm going to give them all credit, especially Hernandez. But it'd be nice to have that other option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and we've been saying it for a long time, and I did find that we saw a little bit more of it last year, where they were pushing the pace of play. They were trying to put some speedsters on, but that involved like Espinal third and like those kind of guys getting into that mix. And what's happening is that the Jays are like the players, the starting, they're playing themselves and hitting themselves into, you got to play them every week, and their bats are so lethal at any given moment that they start to kind of revert back almost to the Jays of the 2015s and 14s or whatever, where it was like live and die by the home run. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think they need to have that sort of that good mix of being able to get the speed on the bases. So again, whether it's just slapping was it Otis Nixon, where he was just kind of like he was already running before he even hit.
Yes.
And just say, I'm just getting the ball. And if you don't like make it clean, I'm going to get there before you get it.
Yep.
And say, I'm going to make you make a mistake. And stuff like that is what I would like to see. And I think that teams like Tampa do a lot better job than we do.
It's why I like Biggio in the lineup. Biggio and Chapman taking the place of Semien. Don't get me wrong. Semien was great, but he hit a lot of home runs. And I'll be shocked if he replicates that in Texas. I'll be shocked. I mean, homer-friendly dome. I don't see it happening. Now that he's the man in Texas, they've got it's like basically a two-person lineup. He's not going to get the same looks.
He's not protected like
he's not protected at all. I mean, for him, I didn't think it was a smart. I mean, I guess his business move is the wrong word because he got paid huge money. But I mean, from a perspective of like his career, it's going to be a lot harder now in Texas for him. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see. I doubt he'll replicate the numbers he put up in Toronto. You won't get 45 homers in Texas. I'm calling it right now. Now we'll talk at the end of the season, see if I'm right or wrong, but I'm calling it now. I don't think he gets over 40.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of a chicken bet because it's guaranteed he's not getting over 40.
You don't think so? Hey,
No,
they signed him to money for him to get over 40. I mean, that's big bucks they gave him over there.
The thing is, contracts in sports, you get paid on what you've done. So he got paid because he had 48 home runs with the Jays. His next contract isn't going to be as big. Why? Because he probably doesn't get 35 this year.
Well, okay. What do you think? He over 30?
No, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he's got under. I'm going to say he takes a huge step back because the fact that there's nobody there to protect him. So they could pitch around him all they want. There's nobody there to threaten the next guy up. Like there's no Vladdy. There's no, Springer kind of bookending him where it's like, well, pick your medicine. Who are we going to hit against or pitch against? I don't think he gets, I'm going to say he's not going to get 30 or he's going to be like at 30, maybe tops. But
okay. I think he's good. I think he gets between 35 and 40, but he doesn't hit 40. That's my call. Interesting. Sorry, Marcus Semien. He had a great year, but that's what you get when you leave the Jays. You get a lot of hate.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Anyways, all right. Let's. It's way too early to be analyzing every single thing, but let's move on. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks when Grapefruit League comes to an end. One of my favorite days of the year, outside of being St. Patrick's Day, is Jays opening day. It's one of my. I actually, if I'm working that day, I take a half day and I make sure that I watch the first game of the year every year. Toronto Blue Jays, one of my favorite days of the year.
Didn't we talk about at one point we were going to go down to Dunedin to do this, but damn COVID. Maybe next year. Maybe.
Well, yeah. Who knows?
Head down to Florida. That could be fun.
All right, let's talk NFL because it was a crazy 2 weeks.
I didn't fade out while we had the thing on.
In my lifetime, I've never seen this level of impact transactions from the just quarterback. I mean, we probably won't have time to get into like position players, offensive lineman Lyle Collins going to the Bengals, that kind of stuff. We we could do a show just on quarterbacks and what has happened this offseason, from Ben Roethlisberger retiring to Tom Brady deciding to retire to Aaron Rodgers being unsure. We thought he was going to get traded, retired. Like that would have changed the entire landscape. Then to have Brady come back, Rodgers sign, and then to see the flurry of activity with the other guys. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have my ups and downs with Tom Brady because I told you Tom Brady is not retiring.
You called it, I think. Yeah.
I told it multiple times. He's not going out on that like tweet or whatever it was, and somebody leaked it, and that's Tom Brady. Oh, he's retired, and then we're going to move on with life. No, Tom Brady is going to do a Tom Brady tour. He's going to have one last kick at the can. Everybody is going to know ahead of time this is his final year.
Yeah.
And I think it's shout out or my sympathies go to the guy that paid $500,000 for Tom Brady's last touchdown ball. You see that? There's got to be some sort of recourse for him. But anyway,
I think Brady's going to hook him up, I think, from what I hear.
Anyway, if you bid on this, given that as soon as Tom Brady throws a touchdown, then it's false advertising and you can't sell it. You got to give money back. Anyway,
crazy.
But that Tom Brady's going to go to every stadium that's on that schedule as Tom Brady's last one. People are going to go to Tampa to watch Tom Brady's last game. He's going to tell everybody in the locker room, this is my last season. This is the last kick of the can. Let's do it for Tom.
Yeah.
Let's do it for Tom, and let's get him 8? Is it it would be his 8th if he wins?
Something like that.
Anyway, whatever. We're going to go do that.
This is not his last year, by the way.
You don't think so?
Nope. No way. Nope. This is not his last year. I get the sense that this is what I think happened. He retired. It scared the hell out of him. And now he's like, I'm going to keep playing. And I'm not retiring, period. Like, he'll retire when he physically takes a step back. I mean, did he not finish second for MVP voting this year? Aaron Rodgers won the MVP, so he was second. I mean, he's still playing at a high level. I think we'll see him go when he has a season like he did his last year in New England, where he struggled a little bit and, some of the talent around him wasn't there, whatever the case is. I think that's when we'll see him go. So, no, I don't think he retires. I think
out on top. If they win this year, he goes out on top.
I don't even know.
That opportunity, you go out on top.
Maybe. It'd be smart if he did.
You have to. You can't go out on, like, the worst season of your career and, like, just everybody watching you just lose it on national television and everybody criticize you and say, I'm just watching you get old. And
whoa, wait a second. Are you taking a shot at Big Ben right there, bud? Is that an underhanded shot?
No, I won't underhand any shots at Big Ben. I will slap him right in the face. I'm not a Big Ben fan. You know that. But that's a great example. And I mean, you brought it up, not me. But watching Big Ben in his play, it was, you know what I mean? It's painful.
The last 2 years. The last 2 years, I will be the first to admit, last year in particular, oof. But the year before that, the bubble year, I mean, the offense was really hard to watch. All the dinks and dunks and his inability to get out of the pocket. But his first 15, he was remarkable. And actually, in particular, his first 8, watching him run for his size and extend plays and do what he did was remarkable. But you knew it was going to be
except for you. It's the last 2 years. Everybody's like, Ben sucks. Tom Brady doesn't want that. Tom Brady wants to go out. I'll be remembered as winning a Super Bowl. I'm out. Number 8, I'm out. That's what he's going to be doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's hope. Let's hope he makes the right choice and leaves on top. But I don't think he will. I think this really scared him. I think it put him in. It's like, oh, I'm not ready to. I've still got a lot left in me, and I don't want to stay home and be a dad yet and all that stuff. I don't think he's there in his head. I think this really scared him. So we'll see what happens.
Scared to be at home with his children. I mean, it's normally an off season, so it was like 4 days. Can't be like, this is my life now. Maybe he did.
Yeah, he probably just said, "Oh God, I don't want to quit." I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. But
so not retired. Brock will retire. I'm just writing all this stuff down so we can bring it up another time.
Please do.
I think Brady's coming back. 1, because he wants to finish on top. 2, have the tour. 3, the NFC is primed still for him to have the best team. other than the Green Bay Packers, who else is ready to sort of make that push?
I mean,
the AFC is loaded.
I mean, the Rams are still the team to beat, but they've lost. Whitworth retired. Their receiving core. They traded Robert Woods. They ended up getting Allen Robertson.
Robert Woods is gone.
I mean, it's interesting. I got the power rankings right here from NFL.com, the most recent power rankings, and there's not many NFC teams in the top 10. How
could you, given what has transpired over these
Rams.
last couple of weeks? Okay, what do you got? Rams or what?
Don't mind the audio here. I'm just going to try to shut this off. There we go.
Automatically plays. Got it.
So here's the top 10 via NFL.com. They got Buffalo ranked 1, the Rams 2, Chiefs at 3, Bengals 4, surprising, Bucks 5. So we got the Niners 6. Very interesting. Packers 7. Chargers 8, Broncos 9, and Tennessee 10. I don't know how they came up with that ranking. I'm not sure I would put. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, that's an interesting ranking from NFL.com. I don't know if I put the Niners at 6. I know they had a great run, but I mean they're going to move to Trey Lance. I don't know if Trey Lance is ready to take the reins. I don't think anybody knows.
Well, Jimmy G's still there.
Jimmy G's still there. What are they going to? Is he going to come back and play? I mean, if he does come back with them, is he the starter? Or is there a quarterback controversy? I mean, Jimmy G has brought them to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship. I mean, you going to sit him for an unknown commodity?
I mean, they can go out and get Baker Mayfield.
You know what? That's a great. Let's talk about that. The NFC, like you said, is really nothing to discuss. I don't think anybody did anything mind blowing. With Jameis Winston's back, I'd like to see Justin Fields another year under his belt, see what the Bears do. But really, all the action's going on in the Carson Wentz, I suppose, is the big acquisition in the NFC, going to the Washington Commanders. I don't see that ending well for anybody.
Mariota going to Atlanta was probably a step in the right direction, actually, for the Falcons, with Matt Ryan going to the Colts. But I mean, that alleviated something. I think Mariota was maybe bringing a bit of a fresh blood to a Falcons team that has been dying for something exciting to go for.
Well, I thought about that. I thought about talking about the Falcons because as you know, I wanted the Steelers to take Mariota or Trubisky in the offseason as a bridge quarterback for somebody they draft. But he's going to an Atlanta Falcons team that can't block and has no weapons now outside of Kyle Pitts and Cordarrelle Patterson, who is kind of like that Swiss Army guy, but he's big for a Swiss Army guy. He can run the ball, he can catch the ball, but and he returns punts, but that's it. Ridley's out for the year, and I don't know what they're going to do in Atlanta to make that offense dynamic enough for Mariota to be successful. I mean, teams are just going to key in on Kyle Pitts, are they not?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who else they put on. Somebody posted something saying who's going to stop this offense, and it had a 4 split, but it had Patterson, Pitts, Mariota, and I'm pretty sure there's one more person. I can't think of who the heck that is now. But somebody put it who's going to stop this offense? And I was like, well,
everybody.
Forget a defense. They're probably going to stop themselves.
Everybody. And like I say, on top of that, they did a very poor job of blocking for Matt Ryan, who I might add is a great addition to the Indianapolis Colts. He's definitely a step up from Carson Wentz. He's 2 steps up from Jacoby Brissett, who started for them the year before. He's the closest thing to Andrew Luck that they've had since Andrew Luck abruptly retired.
For a 3rd round pick.
That's a great pickup for Indianapolis. Actually, brilliant. Better than Baker.
You know who else thinks it's a really good pick? OBJ.
I hear.
Beckham Jr. tweeted or sent something where he thought Matt Ryan's going to go to the Colts and really do something special there. Now, he's I believe, a free agent. Not been brought back by the Rams yet. I think he's kind of putting feelers out there, but maybe he ends up in Indianapolis somewhere.
Yeah, it would make sense. I mean, they just lost Pascal, who is one of their receivers. I think he signed with the Eagles. So there's an opening there. Maybe he's trying to talk his way in. But Jarvis Landry is still out there. Jarvis Landry's name's been tied to the Steelers, oddly enough, which would be a good fit because they don't have anybody. They have James Washington signed in Dallas, and Juju's gone to Kansas City. So they've just got the two guys left.
I think Juju will have a good year in Kansas City.
How could you not? Although they lost one of their speedsters to the Raiders today. The other one, was it DeMarcus Robinson?
Oh, is he with the Raiders?
He just signed with the Raiders today. So there was definitely a need there. So we'll see what happens. But sticking with the quarterbacks, I wanted to ask you your opinion on the situation in Cleveland. And let's just rewind really quickly. 2020, Baker Mayfield, playoffs, first round. They come into Pittsburgh. They drop 28 zip in the first quarter. They end up blowing out their rival. Everyone's going berserk. Okay, Cleveland's finally over the hump. They go in. They play Kansas City in the next round. They put up a good fight. Everyone's sexy pick that offseason. Oh, Browns are going to go to the Super Bowl. Browns, this and that, the other. They have a tough year this year. You know, he's injured practically the whole year. He played with a bum shoulder. He couldn't rely on OBJ. When OBJ finally disappeared, it showed that they finally had a little bit of momentum. They played well without him. Now what? Now they went out. They picked up Deshaun Watson. People in the community are putting signs on Stefanski's lawn saying, 22 women. Not all 22 women could be lying at the same time. Like it's just a bad scene in Cleveland. The organization puts out a statement saying this is why we did it. We did our due diligence. All this nonsense. Receivers. I mean, Amari Cooper suddenly is he the man? Was he the man? Can he be the man? I mean, what are your thoughts on what Cleveland's doing? It's just a year outside, everyone taking them to go to the Super Bowl.
You can't really be surprised. I know you make a lot of comments on our group pages of it. Browns are going to Brown. This is the definition of the Browns are going to Brown. They gave up, how much guaranteed money to a guy who is coming off a year of not playing.
And then a 4-12 year the year before.
4-12-ish there. Okay, he didn't have Hopkins and stuff with him that year. Fine. Talented, but to be the highest and most guaranteed money of a quarterback in NFL history, especially when you have a guy like Rodgers who just signed his biggest deal of his career that only guaranteed 150. How do you do that? Money aside, the amount of picks and stuff that they had given up on top of that is mind-blowing, and also sacrificing your future, which I think you're sacrificing your future from both ends, really, with your Deshaun signing and with the draft picks. I did say that I thought maybe they're thinking that Baker Mayfield might bring in some other picks that they can kind of recoup. They did sign Jacoby Brissett, who the other starter in the Colts that you were talking about. So he's likely going to be the backup in Cleveland. So really making no room for Baker Mayfield. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I honestly don't know what Cleveland is thinking. Making some of these moves. They have a good running game. Their offensive line wasn't too bad either. Is he? I don't know. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, I mean, Kevin Stefanski is a great offensive coach, so he's going to make it work. I think there's enough dynamic talent on there with Njoku. They did cut Austin Hooper, but the young kid, the backup tight end, played better, if not the best out of the three tight ends. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, for me, it's just the optics of it all. And, Mayfield, I don't know. He's not Johnny Manziel. I think the people associate the Manziel with Mayfield too much. I don't know how good Mayfield is in the locker room. Supposedly he's immature or whatever. But, I mean, the guy took you to the promised land pretty quickly after coming over, after being picked. You give up on all that so quickly. You know how it is. Continuity is super important in the NFL. It's rare that you could just put a bunch of guys together and succeed overnight. It's rare. You have to compliment everybody, but you have to have the foundation in place. And I mean, Cleveland's just going to start from scratch again and see what they can do. I mean, those guys are gone. Amari Cooper and Watson are two different guys.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Amari Cooper, I like Amari Cooper. I think he, is a decent receiver. Those are different guys. Mayfield could be a great guy in the locker room. But you know what they say, characters in the locker room is one thing, but it's really how you treat your masseuses as really the indication as to what kind of character you are. So we're going to see, I guess, over the next little while, what comes of this and these moves. I mean, Watson alone, I think, some of the transactions that I just think are worth mentioning that may be less attention because they're not quarterbacks. They're not the 230 mil. But I think Von Miller going to the Bills, I thought was a great pickup. That's a fairly large signing too at 120 mil.
6 years.
Yeah, they really locked in with him, which, hey, I'd rather that than, try and get a 1 year kind of deal out of him. I think Von Miller brings a lot. This is probably where he's going to finish his career. Like, I don't see him having much more after 6 years. So is he hitching his wagon to what he thinks is the next team sort of primed to make a run at the Super Bowl? If the power rankings are any indication, then that would be a yes. Now, Von Miller, the Bills, I thought Jamison Crowder is also a sign for the Bills. And I thought
Nice pickup.
that was a good pickup. They cut Cole Beasley, I think, because he wasn't vaccinated. Is that why they cut him? Or is it just because, anyway, Crowder almost replaces with more talent than Cole Beasley. I think he can be that possession receiver too, and those quick passes, but he creates a lot more separation than Beasley, and he's also a lot more of a threat when he gets the ball. So I think Jamison Crowder to the Bills, I think that was actually a really good pickup given their situation. We talked about La'el Collins to the Bengals. That's a no-brainer for me.
They picked up Hayden Hurst too.
Yeah, that's the tight end, I think, eh?
Yeah.
But they also picked up Ted Karras.
Ted Karras, yeah. His dad, Alex Karras, played for the Lions in the 70s. Do you remember Webster? The show Webster?
Yeah.
He was the dad. Alex Karras is the dad on that show. Anyway, Ted Karras. Yeah.
All right.
So Ted Karras is his son. Anyway, good pickup, I think.
Yeah. He's going by Karras now. Okay. So
Karras. Okay.
I can't say names apparently. This is
no.
Anyway, Atentacupo.
Hey, you got it.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay.
Anyway, he's coming in. He was with the Patriots, I think, last year, but he's a center. He's going to be probably the sixth lineman for the interior and likely compete for a starting job somewhere there. And these are the issues that the Bengals needed to address. So those two alone make a huge difference because their right side, I guess, was the weakest, I think. And so if you have La'el Collins be able to move in there somewhere and this other Karras into there, I think that almost solidifies their offensive line, injuries aside. So those are huge. Shout out to Alex Singleton, who was the linebacker with the Philadelphia Eagles. Prior to that, he was a CFL star with the Calgary Stampeders. Anyway, he had a great career in Philadelphia. He got moved or signed with the Broncos, so he's in.
Nice pick.
Yeah, a really good spot, I think, for him. And the other two that I thought Dante Fowler with the Cowboys is something that because they lost somebody too, so I thought that was a probably decent pickup for what he was worth. And obviously Robert Woods went with the Titans, which I thought with the failed Julio Jones experiment there, that Robert Woods might be able to provide a little bit more of a pass threat. Who knows?
Yeah.
See what happens. But they're a team that they haven't figured out that balance between their extremely good run game and the passing game. And I don't know, there's something missing. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it because their offensive line is good. Their running game is good. There's a lot of respect to making sure that King Henry doesn't run all over you.
Yeah.
So there got to be openings. Tannehill is a good quarterback. So again, I don't know what's but they're there. You know what I mean? It's there, and if they figure it out, they'll be a dangerous team as well.
I'm interested to see what the Ravens do. Zadarius Smith had a contract in place with them, and he pulled out, and he signed with the Vikings today. So, very interesting. The Ravens have some issues. They're usually pretty good with signing these guys, these types of players. They have a system. They know exactly what they look for, but they're losing some people, and they haven't replaced them yet. So this might be a big draft for them. I haven't talked much about my Steelers, but this is probably the most active they've been in free agency since I've been alive. They rarely do this much. They brought in James Daniels, who's an excellent young guard. So, and they brought in Mason Cole, who played with the Cardinals and the Vikings. So they shore up their offensive line, which was probably their biggest issue last year. I don't think those two guys solve all their issues. Let's not kid ourselves. Kevin Dotson still has to play good at guard. They still need to find out what they have at left tackle with Dan Moore. But it's a start, and they can address now that they have that set up and spend some money in free agency. My thing with them is their defense. I mean, look, if Stephon Tuitt comes back, he was arguably one of the top 5 defensive linemen in all of the NFL his last full season. With him alongside Hayward and Alualu coming back, and then you just picked up Miles Jack, he's not a big guy, but he covers well. Devin Bush is in a year where he has to prove himself or he's gone. You still got TJ Watt. You picked up Levi Wallace. You re-signed Akella Witherspoon. And now there's talk, they're missing a safety, and Tyrann Mathieu is still out there. If they could bring him in there and just say, look, we're going to have the best defense in the AFC, whether you like it or not. We may not have the horses on offense yet, but we're going to run the ball and we're going to shut you down. Now we're talking in the AFC North. Can they stop the Bengals? The Bengals have a lot of weapons, but I see the Ravens taking another step back, and I see the Browns just being a work in progress, and it might be too late by the time they figure it out mid-season. So the Steelers could still be up there, in that 1-2 spot in the AFC North. You just never know.
It's interesting sales pitch that you're going to have for Tyrann Mathieu. Be like, hey, you like playing defense?
Minkah Fitzpatrick,
45 minutes a game? Then come to Pittsburgh. You want your career to be super short because the miles on your body are going to be exhausted this year?
Well,
offensively to do anything?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think Pittsburgh's formula this year is to hang on to the ball a little longer and get some first downs. You got a quarterback now that's actually mobile, who can actually run for a few yards if all hell breaks loose, right? You want to dominate the clock. You want your defense to not be on the field as much as they were last season. I think they're putting the pieces in place to have that happen. They're not going to be high flying. They're not high fly. They're not going to be high fly. They're not the killer bees from the mid 2000s. That's just not going to be them. But if they can control the clock, I mean, that defense is good. So we'll see.
It's going to get a lot of practice.
You are relentless today. Absolutely relentless.
Well, I mean, you're saying offensive linemen that you got aren't the solution. No, because it's a 4-year process. You're not ready to compete at all this year. Anyway. No, I'm gonna take my shots when I can get them. But I don't.
It's gonna be interesting.
Hey, if I was to say that the Steelers traded up to the 4th overall pick to grab that quarterback you have, would you be happy or not?
Malik Willis?
No, I'm talking Trubinsky because he was traded up by the Bears to take him at 4, I think.
Ahead of Watson and ahead of Mahomes. I mean, I don't think if you look at his record with the Bears, I mean, you look at wins and losses and his actual quarterback rating is pretty good. So, to get him as cheap as they did, he's fresh. They loved him in Buffalo. Why not? You don't have anybody on your roster right now. Why not? If you draft somebody, he's not going to be ready to play anyways. Why not? It's a 2-year deal. You got nothing to lose. It's all upside. If they go 0-16, no one expected them to go and be much better than it anyways. So, it's win-win for this kid. I think it's a brilliant pickup, and he's mobile.
And I think I heard that one of the stipulations for him signing was that he didn't have to have dinner with Tomlin where he was eating chicken wings in front of him the whole time. Malik Willis, if he's thinking about coming to Pittsburgh, I'm sure that tuned him right off.
Well, he said the opposite in his interview. He loved it, actually. He was like, Tomlin's just a normal guy. I love it. He was great.
Finger lick on.
I just love it. I love it.
On the chalkboard for me. I would lose it. And then you took a shot at my Gators. Anyway, I thought we were going back and forth. I started going back to all the different Steeler rosters.
I was driving.
What am I going to do? I was driving. All right. I think that's it for us today. We are going to, it's going to come.
Sorry, Russell Wilson. We'll talk about you next time, kid.
what is there else to say? Did we not talk about him last week?
I think we did. Actually, at our last show, he had already been traded. So, yes.
Yeah, I started writing down him, Rogers. Adams wasn't with the Raiders at that time. I think
Crazy.
that was a big slap in the face. He turned down the same amount of money with Green Bay to go to Las Vegas. Change of scenery, tired of like the way
Childhood team
working. What?
Childhood team, he said. It's one of his, he always wanted to play for the Raiders. So,
childhood team, college teammates, the quarterback. Like, it's a lot of things there. But I did see the video of Conan O'Brien walking through the office where he's slapping everything off of the shelves already. He's like super grumpy walking in. They're like,
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers walking into Green Bay today after the Adams sign. What do you do then? I don't know.
They got problems.
They do have problems. He's going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to draft fairly interesting, and hope guys can step up right away. But anyway, I love talking about it. We're going to get into after the draft. We'll get into our super early rankings and where we think things are going to go. We are not on next week. We will start going probably bi-weekly. We'll start, but it gives us a bit more time to get some stuff to talk about. I'm on vacation next week anyway. So next week, there is no show, but we are going to go. Do you have any last words?
No, just go Ravens and tune into March Madness. I think Friday night is the St. Peter's Purdue game. They got North Carolina still in it. You got those dirty Jayhawks in Kansas. It's just a great tournament. Enjoy it this weekend. It's some of the best basketball you'll see. And go Raptors.
I need to isolate the Go Ravens, and I'm going to play that all NFL season. I'm going to.
I know you're going to.
Pierre loves the Ravens. Also, check out unsportsmanlikeconvo.com to get your gear.
Get your swag.
Get your swag.
Why don't you just go out and get your swag? Go out there, click, put it in your cart, put your credit card number in there, and get your swag.
Get your credit card number. Look at that swag.
Outstanding.
All the crazy shit I did tonight, those will be the best memories. I just wanna let it go for the night. That would be the best therapy for me.